Our next competitor is Kristen Barry from the Auditory Laboratory in the School of Anatomy, Physiology and Human Biology. Kristen is supervised by Helmi Moulders and Don Robertson. Kristen's thesis title is The Development of a Model of Auditory Limbic Interactions and the Influence of Limbic Areas on Tinnitus Generation. And Kristen's 3-minute thesis title for you today is Could Stress Be the Reason You're Hearing Things? Please welcome Kristen.
Tinnitus is a phantom perception of sound. It's similar to a phantom limb, but in the auditory system. You've probably experienced tinnitus before. It's that high-pitched, really annoying ringing that you get after going to a concert. Usually this is only temporary. However, for some people it can be chronic, and it can even be really debilitating. Tinnitus research has shown that there's a clear association between hearing loss and the development of tinnitus. Now, however, not everybody who has hearing loss ultimately develops tinnitus. So I want you to imagine that your brain's kind of like a thermostat. When our environment cools down, or in the case of hearing, becomes quieter, the thermostat switches on and heats up. Our brain also switches on a sequence of events in response to hearing loss, a type of sensory deprivation. This sequence of events leads to the development of abnormal neural activity within the auditory system. And after this is when, and using animal models, we've been able to show that this abnormal neural activity almost always develops after hearing loss. So you might be thinking that if hearing loss results in the development of abnormal neural activity, does the presence of abnormal neural activity always lead to the perception of tinnitus? And the answer is no, and we're not entirely sure why. So we're feeling like we've exhaustively explored all of our potential sources of tinnitus within the auditory pathway. We've decided to look a little bit outside of it. We know that there's abnormalities in the brains of those with tinnitus in different non-auditory structures, such as the limbic system. This system is involved in the regulation of stress. So it could be that our limbic system is working as a sort of switch to prevent any sort of abnormal neural activity from reaching the cortex for perception. And this is reflected in sort of human studies where we've been able to show that war veterans, particularly those with post-traumatic stress disorder, are more likely to experience tinnitus than those without. So it seems that there might be some sort of central fail-safe that, keeping with our thermostat analogy, prevents it from getting uncomfortably hot. So what does this switch, or what does this fail-safe look like in the auditory system? The simplest mechanism would be something that stops or inhibits abnormal neural activity from reaching the cortex. My PhD research is looking at what structures of the limbic system have the capacity to do this. And we've recently found that the nucleus accumbens, a limbic structure, can do just that. We actually published last week. And this is really exciting because it means that we find a potential treatment for tinnitus. Thank you very much.